I think the really important thing to take home from this, I think that fulfillment is not obtained by the result, but rather the journey and the hard work that gets you to your result. In this video, it's going to be a little bit of different format. I am going to basically read some topics that I wanted to just talk about and really just get my ideas flowing on each section. And I'll just literally just talk as I read these sections and give you guys my input on this video. In different videos, there's going to be a lot of different formats. Like, some videos are going to be very precise. I have it cut really clean. I know exactly what I'm going to say, and it's super thought out. I'm really trying to bring a point home to teach you guys something valuable, and I'll make those videos and post it in my playlist under the Growth Mindset tips. And then there's also this other section that I made recently, and it's called Get to Know Me Tips. And so in this video, that's where this type of content is going to go. It's very informal. You're just going to kind of get to know who I am. This is like super informal, and I'm going to try it out, see kind of how I like it. And let me know also in the comments below if you want to see more videos like this where I'm just talking and really showing you my thoughts on these awesome topics that I've always wanted to talk about. There's not much people that I know of that would like to talk about it, so why not share it with you guys and reach a larger audience. So cool. All right, so in this video we are going to be talking about the idea of, are you putting your effort where it matters? And the reason why I'm bringing this topic up specifically, I've been out of school for a couple of years, and some of you guys might still be in school, or you are working somewhere. And we have these goals that we try to do. We set every year, like a New Year's resolution. And so one of my goals that I've been trying to get is to continuously make videos on YouTube. Was one of my big goals for 2019. And then a bonus, like a milestone marker that I've had, is to hit 100 subscribers. So we'll see if we get there. I'm just below 80, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so in this video, I wanted to really just remind you guys, and hopefully you guys can think about just slow down. Life is just so busy, and you're constantly being invited to things. Friends have birthdays, your family have events to do, you might be involved in sports, and sometimes you might lose sight of where you're headed. Like, you just don't have time to really just relax and think of your current position and like where you want to go in like 5 years. So in this video, it's really just about slowing down and thinking about your milestones and making sure that you're staying on track, so that by end of the year, and when you make your next New Year's resolution goals, you can be reassured that you can hit those goals because you set goals for this past year, and you're holding yourself essentially accountable to getting those done. So it actually means something to you when you make a new 1-year goal. Like, I could already predict one of my 1-year goals for 2020 will be to grow the channel even more, and I'll decide on what milestone that might be. That might be 500 subscribers, or even just making something that I can control, like making a video, at least 2 videos a week, and kind of just seeing where that progresses as I spend time developing the channel up. Let's go ahead and get started on this video. Just a little more context. So I broke down the idea of, are you putting enough effort to where it matters, into 4 different sections, and I'll literally just read it and tell you guys my thoughts as we go. So first one is, what do you spend the most of your time doing? So what I mean by this is, are you spending time doing what you want most of the day? Or are you spending most of your time working? Are you spending most of the time studying? Are you spending most of the time sleeping? Like, I just want you to ask yourself that. Like, are you spending the majority of your time doing one thing, or are you doing a lot of little things? And more importantly, well, I guess the first step before that is what you spend your time doing, is that paying you? In this channel, I like to talk a lot about financial literacy and financial development, and I think what you can get paid for, and or even not getting paid for something, but just realizing that you can get paid for something that you might enjoy doing could be something pretty potential and powerful for you guys if you really sit down and buckle and think about how you can get paid for the hobbies that you enjoy doing. Say you spend most of your time working, right? So you spend most of your time working, and so that, yes, that is paying you. Like, you are getting paid to work, so that's where you're dedicating a lot of time to, which is good. Like, you're spending time doing that. Now, what I want to add on top of that is there any growth potential with what you're doing? Like, is your rate, is your salary a fixed rate? And if it is, do you think you have a lot of control in changing that rate based off of your performance? So let's say you spend 6 months going really hard at your job, and you think you're doing a phenomenal job. Let's say you save the company $2 million, and you notice that maybe there's no pay raises or boost that's semi-equivalent to what you've done. So if that is you, or you think that's you, or there's not any like benefits or perks to the hard work that you're doing, do you think there's any growth potential involved? And really ask yourself that. Like, is it something that you think if you put a lot of work in, do you see your achievements turn into rewards? Or are you just doing a lot of hard work, but there's no benefits that you're actually reaping besides maybe public affirmation that you're doing a good job? So with that too, is that if you stop doing what you're doing, whatever that is, whether that be a job or a hobby or some form of where you're getting paid income, will that stop paying you when you stop that, like when you stop working? So like, will you continue to get paid when you stop doing whatever function that is? And this kind of separates like the thought process of between like active income and passive income. So like, active income is like, you have to work a certain amount of hours that's traded for dollars, and then that pays you. But if you stop working, then that income stops to a screeching halt. So is that a perfect situation? Like, sure, you might be a high income earner with the active income, but I want you guys to think, like, is that really something that you want to continue to do? Like, can you see yourself doing that same thing for the next 5 years? Or do you think you're just doing it for the money and that's the only reason? Is that something that you think you're going to be happy with doing for a long time? Like, are you happy with working at that same spot for 5 or 10 years? Or do you think it's not really worth it? Like, sure, you made a certain amount of money, but is that time that you traded really worth it for you guys? And I want you to ask yourself that in all seriousness. Like, is that worthy of you? Like, if you told someone that you spent 10 years at some position, would you be proud of saying that you've been there for 10 years? Or would you feel like you've wasted 10 years and you've just collected money along the way and you don't think you've really developed? Keep that in mind. I just want you guys to realize that as you continuously do something, you might get trapped in this thought process of where you're not looking a mile out, so like a year out or 2 years out. And then you have, like, if you ever heard like a midlife crisis, you realize that you've been doing the same thing for so long and you weren't happy doing it. And then you become really depressed because you've lost so many years, good years of a lot of energy and the aspiration of trying to do something a lot bigger, and you just didn't have the time, or didn't take the time to really think about it. So that's the first thing I wanted to go over. Just like, think about those like times. Like, do you think it's worth it to you? Do you think the pay is worth it? Do you think the growth is worth it? Section number 2. Do you own what you're working towards? So like, every single effort, every single minute, every single hour that you spend on something, is that something that you own? Like, can you actively say that you own it 100%? Or is it entitled to someone else? Like that's another effort, like another idea. Like, if you're working at a corporation, like those dedicated hours that you spend on whatever IP that you're doing, you don't actually own that. So, you know, when you leave at the end of the day, the company got bigger and smarter and more advanced and more developed, but did you actually make a difference in your own life? Like, sure, you got experience doing something and you know how to do something, but at the end of the day, if it's not something that you own, that you work towards, I'm not sure if that's something that is worthy of spending your time doing. Like, you're gonna end up running and spinning your wheels all the time, and you're gonna get small 3% raises, 5% raises, but you're not gonna see a direct impact in what you're doing. So if you're okay with this, by all means, like if you're content with where you are and you're comfortable, then that's totally fine. But I think that if you're trying to develop something, like develop a business that you own, you can say you did the majority of the work or all the work to build it and become like a self-made millionaire. I think it starts really at the bottom. What you're doing, something that you own, that you can claim, that you can see that as progress that you've spent your time doing. Is your income directly affected by others? So another thing here too is, like, let's say you're at a job and you have a boss and you have your coworkers, you know, this is pretty typical, and you're doing good work. Like, you know you're doing good work, your team knows you're doing good work, but you might have a boss that doesn't think you're doing good work or doesn't like the work that you're, like how you're delivering your message to your boss. Now this can really destroy your income source if you're on your boss's bad side. So you have to play essentially the corporate game of trying to juggle between doing good work and presenting it to your boss in such a way that they like you. And sometimes your boss might change a lot, so you end up having to change your personality or your delivery message just to keep your income active. And like, you don't have to be in a situation where your income is based off of one person or a few people. Like, I think that you can control your income source directly by what habits that you do, and I think that you can have a income stream that is not affected by other people's thoughts. So if someone just gets on your bad side, they can't just crush your income source and totally obliterate you from your career. So I think it's incredibly important that if you create an income stream or several income streams, that the income source is not going to be heavily dictated by another individual, and I think it should be controlled by you, and that's the main driver for your income. So you know that if you're delivering value to someone, who get paid for that source, and that it's at a large scale. So like, you're not being forced to act a certain way based off of someone else's viewpoint of view. That's just something that is incredibly important. And another thing too is, so like back to building wealth and having like true like active wealth and potential and growing and trying to become a self-made millionaire. Do you guys think that if you actively work hard and continuously strive to do the very best that you do every single day, does your net worth go up? If it doesn't, I would recommend thinking back of why your net worth is not going up. Is it because you're working towards someone else's dreams? Is it because you're working towards something that you'll never own? Do you want to own something that you can say that you built up and that delivers you an income stream? I think for a lot of people that have become self-made millionaires, they take that risk and they work solely on their own business or themselves, and they hold themselves accountable to drive an income source to match the lifestyle that they're doing. And so if you are always working at a position that is building someone else's dream, and their thought process of you does change, then you can just be removed from the party and they continuously backfill you with someone else that is more liked. So I just think, you guys should just be careful in your position and in your income sources. Like, I think having one income source, especially if it's not controlled by you, can be, it's like extremely risky, because one day you might have a different manager or a different team that doesn't like you or your personality, and then they just remove you from the team, and then now you're negative in the hole. So I encourage you guys to find a way to have multiple income streams that you directly control and is only in your control. So that protects yourself, any type of unknown risk that might pop up along the way while you build and dedicate a lot of your hours towards that income source. So if you aren't fulfilled with what you're doing, what do you need to do to start being fulfilled with what you do? Is your life an idle? And if so, why haven't you started doing something that is making you fulfilled? Like, what's holding you guys back? Like, is it the risk of not making money in the beginning, and then and then making money? Or do you think what your fulfillment is you can't get paid for it? Do you think it's you have too much bills to pay where you can't afford to take that risk of doing what you want and try to make a living off of it? Like, I want you guys to think of like, what is holding you guys back? Like, are you trying to ask someone permission to do what you want to do? Like, I think life is not about waiting around and asking for permission, and it's really good to learn this young in your life, is that you just got to go do it. Like, you have to be willing to take that risk and just start doing what you want to do. And sure, like, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you're not going to get paid in the beginning because you're small, you're growing, you're still developing your skill sets, but I know that as you continuously grow, you're going to find ways that work and ways that don't work. And I think the really important thing that to take home from this, at least in this section, is that I think that fulfillment is not obtained by the result, but rather the journey and the hard work that gets you to your result. So what I mean by this is that, let's say you want to make, let's say $10,000 passive income. Like, getting to $10,000 passive income is going to be really cool, and it's going to be nice because then after that you just make $10,000 all the time. But I think the real fulfillment is when you're working towards getting your $10,000 passive income, because you're learning about the challenges that come along with learning how to develop that system and who to meet and who to talk to and how to network and build that business model up. And so, like, let's say you hit your $10,000 milestone and you might think that's it, but really it's not. If you continuously are willing to learn and just live and grow, you'll set another goal, and that'll inspire yourself to continuously just achieve more things in life, and that'll also inspire others around you to do the same thing. I think a lot of people become stagnant in their careers, so they'll be afraid of taking a risk where maybe they're too afraid of leaving a job because they don't know what the new job's going to offer to them, or they think they're not going to get paid as much, or they think they're not going to be valued as much, so they end up remaining at the same position for a long time to try to mitigate any risk. But I think for fulfillment, you have to take a risk and really just try to dive into what you're interested in and just go ahead and start doing it. And you'll figure it out along the way, like what's going to work and what's not going to work. So you'll set an example for yourself and you'll teach others along the way. So comment below, you guys, on what you think your passion is. Like, I'm super interested on what you are doing to make a difference in your life. Like, I'm just genuinely curious for all of you guys out there. I know a lot of you guys might be going to college or trying to start up your own business or develop passive income. So you're taking those right steps to take action and go out there and make a difference in your life and hopefully inspire others along the way. But yeah, post a comment below of what you're exactly doing. Like, maybe you're getting educated right now and you're networking and you're talking to the experts that are already doing it at this current time. Maybe you're just reading books. Like, you're just trying to figure out what it is that you are looking for, and that's okay. But I want this to be a very active community where you're just literally just sharing your thoughts and your passions and your careers, aspirations, whatever it is that you want to do. So hopefully we can build a good network within this channel for the growth mindset. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching the Growth Mindset channel. This format I know is very different, and just, wanted to go over some topics that I've been thinking about. And one day, like, these topics I think are really good for live feeds, because I can just type it in the comments or just say it out loud and you guys can just post, and I can feed off of your guys' energy of maybe what your thoughts are. Like, hey, what are you working towards? And I can say, oh, this is what I'm doing right now. And say, oh, how are you trying to affect your income or increase your income or replace your active income with passive income? Like, those are like super good ideas that I'm like glad to share with you guys. So yeah, we'll get there one day, guys, on this channel. But for now, that's all I got. Thanks for watching the Growth Mindset channel, and I'll catch you guys all on the next one. Bye.